The topic is Cultural Revolution is Essential for Iran. State ideology in Iran has had a trajectory distinct from that elsewhere in the Middle East. Iranian nationalism in particular arose during the constitutional revolution of 1906 to 1911. In opposition to the decaying the late Qajar monarchy, and was appropriately entirely by the state's modernizer under Reza Shah Pahlavi. The constitutional revolution was the first one in the Middle East, Near East, and Eurasia, even before the revolution of Young Turks in 1908. And it was even before the Russian Revolution in 1907. The establishment of a constitutional regime in Iran was the chief objective of the revolution of 1906 to 1911. As a modern revolution, it was aimed at dislodging the old order by means of popular action and by advocacy of the tenets of nationalism and secularism. For the first time in the course of modern Iran history, the revolutionaries sought to replace arbitrary power with law, representative government, and social justice, and to resist the encroachment of imperial powers with nationalism, popular activism, and economic independence. Constitutionalists also tried to curb the power of the conservative religious establishment through modern education and judicial reforms. By centralizing the state, they sought to reduce the power of the tribal and urban feudal. The greater sense of nationhood that emerged out of the revolution but has remained essential to the modern Iranian identity. During the 19th century, demands for justice or adalat were prominent in reformist writings, popular preachers, and the petitions by the merchants. Such demands seems natural and legitimate, in accordance with the concept of dadkhahi in the Iran Shahri theory with the ideals of social justice and citizens' equal rights. Akhundzadeh was the forerunner of a secularist school with manifest anti-clerical views. Many themes of the Constitution period, such as secular education, moral reconstruction, and hostility to superstition, can be traced to his writings. Akhundzadeh was an atheist, maybe some of you know. He taught a cultural awakening based on the disengagement from Islam and the Arab element associated with it. He called on Iranian people, means the Iranian people, actually, to throw off the yoke of submission and liberate themselves from the oppression of the despot by means of progress and free thoughts. Agha Khan Kermani, a writer with non-Islamic tendencies, also advocated the need for a constitutional regime and a pre-Islamic Iranian culture. He shared Akhundzadeh's critical assessment of the Islamic past as the chief cause of the decline of Iran. Kermani's emphasis on pre-Islamic Iranian roots as a source for a national reawakening exerted some influence on the writings of the constitutional period. The book of Shi'anameh Ibrahim Bey, written by Zainal-Abidin Maraghi, is a fictional travelogue by an Iranian expatriate who returns to his homeland only to find decay, poverty, corruption, tyranny, and ignorance. He wishes a cultural revolution in his homeland in order to enable Iranian born again. Talibov, another intellectual, was in general supportive of European modernization, although his book accused the West of hypocrisy for exploiting the rest of the world while advocating freedom and fraternity. He also called for purifying the Persian language by suppressing Arabic words. Talibov believed that educating the young in modern science was the first prerequisite for Iran's progress and development. During Iran's constitutional revolution, Iran's nationalists began this process to transformation by encouraging the implementation of a radical program of education and judicial reform. The most pertinent theme that emerged in the writings of the late 19th century was the idea that in order to guarantee social justice and material improvement and maintain Iran's independence and national identity against European imperial domination, it was essential to launch a constitutional order. Patriotism and recognition of original Iranian cultural heritage were alternatives to loyalty to traditional religious beliefs and institutions. And today we are on the same path with a century delay. The road to prosperity, social justice, and development through a cultural revolution based on Iranian roots, values, and schools of thoughts. And this is what the Iranian Renaissance movement has been seeking since 4 years ago, by implementing some programs, cultural, historical, social, educational, and even seminars in the universities, mass media, and social networks. Thank you for paying attention to my speech.